Hey guys, it's Jeff from Pressure Luck, and today I wanted to do a recipe that is not only one of the easiest things you'll make in your Instant Pot, but it's also light and full of rich and delicious flavor. Guys, we're going to make congee, also known as juk. A congee, what is it? I was recently introduced to it. It's a porridge. It's a Chinese porridge, where it's basically just a little bit of rice with a whole lot of water and some seasonings in there. All easy stuff to find, super, super easy. And then it becomes an amazing thick consistency of just this hearty, savory soup. Now, I like to add chicken to mine. Some people add pork, some people don't put anything in there, they just accept the rice. It all varies. This one is gonna have chicken, and it's gonna be, the chicken's gonna shred apart. It's super tender, it's super flavorful, and well, pun intended with the super, because it's basically the most amazingly thick chicken soup with the rice with a wonderful Asian influence flavor all over it. And people eat this dish for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It's a very common breakfast dish, actually. So we're gonna go right to that Instant Pot and we're gonna conjure up some congee. You see what I did there? You see what? Never mind, let's start. Okay, so the first thing I want to add in my pot is 3/4 of a cup of a white rice, any kind. It can be a jasmine, it can be a long grain, whatever you want. That is fine. 3/4 of a cup, no need to rinse. In fact, don't rinse it because we actually want this rice to get nice and sticky and kind of like mushy. That's the whole point. It's going to become a porridge. Add it to the pot. I want to follow that up with 6½ cups of water. And I know what you're thinking, that's a lot of water to how much rice we put in there, and those ratios would be way off if we were just making rice, but for a porridge, or a congee in this case, this is exactly what you do. Now I'm gonna add in a tablespoon of a crushed ginger or minced ginger, about 4 cloves of garlic that's either freshly pressed or just really finely diced, and a tablespoon of pure maple syrup. That adds a little bit of a natural sweetness here instead of adding actual sugar. And I'm going to stir that up well in the pot so everything gets really nice and combined with each other here. All right, and moving on. Okay, so now it's time to add our chicken to the pot, and I'm using 4 pounds of chicken total, 2 pounds of bone-in, skin-on thighs, and 2 pounds of drumsticks. Also, obviously, the bone, they're not going to be a drumstick without a bone, but with the skin on. We want the skin on to create flavor. We're going to discard it after we pressure cook. It's just for the flavor. All right, so let's add that right to the pot. So let's place our chicken in the pot. And look at all those legs and thighs just swimming in a giant bathtub here. It's like being in the West Village in the 70s. Okay, now we're ready to pressure cook. And we're gonna add our lid here, secure it, make sure that we're in the sealing position. And now we're gonna hit the pressure cook or the manual button, depending on your model. We wanna go on this, guys, for 25 minutes at high pressure. You see that? 25 at high pressure. And now that the pressure cooking cycle is completed, we're going to allow a 20-minute natural release, meaning we do nothing for 20 minutes. This will read 20 when we're all done, and from there we'll finish it off with a quick release. And now that 20 minutes of a natural release have passed, see, it reads 20. That shows you how much time has elapsed since it's been pressure cooked. I'm going to finish with a quick release. And our pin just dropped, so we're going to take the lid off. By the way, when you quick release this, and if you get a little bit of a spurt, don't worry about it. It might be because there's a lot of chicken in there, there's a lot of liquid going on in the pot. You can just simply toss like a dish rag or a paper towel over it if that happens. No big deal. Let's remove our lid. And there's our chicken. What I want to do now is I want to take some tongs and I want to take my chicken and remove it to a bowl. And there we go. And the chicken's going to basically shred apart when it's added to the bowl. It's going to be super delicate. We're going to let this cool for a bit, and then we're going to pick all the meat off from the bones and just discard all the bones, the skin, and the cartilage. But in the meantime, let's focus on our congee now. It's going to look a little bit thin at the moment. We're going to give everything a stir. It's not quite what we want it to be just yet, but all that changes very shortly. Let's give it some heat. All right, now we're going to come down to the Instant Pot and we're going to hit the cancel or the keep warm / cancel button if they share a button depending on your model. Then hit the saute button, and we want to adjust so we're on the more or the high setting. All right, now once we're bubbling, I want to add in a teaspoon each of garlic salt and seasoned salt. All right, we're going to season this up a little bit. And we're going to give that a stir, and we're going to allow everything to bubble for 10 minutes on saute here. Alright, so 10 minutes have passed, and this is exactly how we want this to look. It's thickened up a bit. We're looking really, really, really great. And now what I want to do is put the finishing touches on, and that's going to be some more seasonings. I've added a few before we started doing this little boil step, and now I'm going to put the rest on after. I'm putting a teaspoon each, once again, of seasoned salt and garlic salt, as well as a teaspoon of garlic powder, onion powder, and a quarter to a half a teaspoon of white pepper. That's normally kind of spicy, but in this situation, it's not going to be at all. Trust me on that. You don't have to add it if you don't want to either. I'm adding in another tablespoon of pure maple syrup. 1 teaspoon of coconut aminos, which by the way tastes nothing like coconut, which is a soy-free, gluten-free type of soy sauce, or you can use low-sodium soy sauce or tamari. And by the way, tamari is a gluten-free soy sauce. And now this is optional. I'm adding in a tablespoon of hoisin sauce. You don't have to add that, but I'm using a gluten-free one to keep it that way. And 2 teaspoons of sesame oil, any kind will do. Lastly, I'm going to take all of my chicken that I've shredded. I've discarded all the bones and the cartilage and the skin, like I said. And we're going to stir this all in together. And now, guys, comes the patient part. I know we've been already patient with this recipe, but you see how easy it is. We're going to let all of this rest for 30, yes, you heard that right, 30 minutes, because this is when it really thickens up into that beautiful, beautiful congee. And then we're going to be ready to serve. So now let's just kill the heat. We'll hit the cancel or the keep warm cancel button again, and then just hit the keep warm button because we just want to make sure everything just stays warm for a while here, all right? While we're on that 30-minute cool down session, it'll ensure that it just keeps it just warm enough. All right, guys, and 30 minutes of resting have passed, and now this is a true consistency of a congee porridge. It just blows my mind how just some rice, just 3/4 of a cup of rice, 6.5 cups of water, some chicken and seasonings can make this all happen and come together so beautifully and richly. And even though it has great, intensely rich flavor, it's gonna be light. All right, let's serve it up. I'm gonna put some in a bowl here. Plenty of the rice and plenty of the chicken. And I'm just gonna top it off with a few scallions here that I've just chopped up and I'm just gonna put on top. And now it's time to dig in. All right, guys, and here it is, the congee, and let's try it out. Here we go. I'm excited. Look at this, the strand of chicken. It becomes shredded, really, once you put it in there, and it really blends into it in the most perfect fashion. I love that. Here we go. Okay. Picture, like, the most comforting chicken soup. Give it an Asian flair, and put the rice in there, but make the rice what's basically part almost of the broth at this point, because such a small amount of rice was cooked with such a large ratio of water, it really melds into the broth of the soup itself, or the congee. It's like, I was never understanding what porridge really was until what this dish was. I understand it now, and it's amazing, and there's nothing better than a congee if you're gonna do porridge. Mom and Dad, do you wanna try it out? So there are my parents, and I'm at their house right now, because it's the Jewish holidays, actually, when I'm filming this, and we're gonna be fasting tomorrow, so we're eating as much as possible. Because, you know, congee and steak goes together really well, but we're eating it as an appetizer, and it was a great excuse to do the video. So guys, give it a try. Have you, either of you ever had this before?
I've never had this.
Okay, so what do you think?
I want to get a little bit of everything on, on my spoon.
It's delicious. I love the scallions in here.
Yeah, it's a nice topping there. It's not that hot.
Delicious.
What do you, how does it describe it to you?
Powdery.
Yeah.
I taste ginger.
Yeah, the ginger is definitely prevalent, which also is in the Asian influence in the dish.
Delish.
And that's good that he says it's like a chowder. He's right, it does have a chowder consistency. It's a thick soup, but we did nothing to thicken it. It's simply the rice that's really thickened it. Like I said, the rice basically becomes the soup.
The chicken is out of this world.
And the chicken it's super tender, it just shreds apart, and it becomes also a part of the soup. The reason why we leave the skin and the bones on the chicken when we cook it before we discard it is because it adds the rich flavor also, of course, to the broth. I think it's delicious, and it's porridge. You're eating porridge. A porridge is rice that's basically just cooked in a lot of water, a small amount of rice in the water, and it becomes part of the soup. So there you have it, guys. There's congee, and my parents approve.
Enjoy.
And they can be picky.
Cheers.
So cheers to the congee. All right. How cute. How cute. All right.
You can cook for me anytime, honey.
Yeah, I do it a lot these days. Even when I'm not supposed to be cooking anymore, I cook. I can't get away from it. All right, well, thanks, guys.
Bye-bye.
And they do love the scallions. You don't want to skimp out on them. They're simple. You just chop up a bunch and you just sprinkle it on top. You could put as much or as little. And if you hate scallions, leave them off. But they really do add
They're really
to it.
good.
So there you have it, guys. Congee, done in the Instant Pot, so deliciously and lightly. Speaking of which, this recipe is so good and light, I'm going to be adding it to my cookbook coming out on April 13th, 2021, the lighter step-by-step Instant Pot cookbook. You don't want to not have that book, believe me. And just check me out anywhere that you can find me in terms of online. You can check me out on facebook.com/pressureluckcooking. Anytime a recipe comes out there, you'll be notified. Tips, tips, funny things, humor in life. PressureLuckCooking.com is where all my recipes live. And of course at Pressure Luck or at Pressure Luck Cooking on YouTube, Twitter, Pinterest, and Instagram. Thank you so much again, guys. And if some kid named Goldilocks comes in knocking at your door asking for some porridge, and if you happen to have bear-like features, she'll probably really want to come to the house. Just simply say, no porridge, but I do have some congee, and it is just right. Enjoy.